So there's several bands that are being considered for rollout, that are key for rollout, but nothing below, I would think, 3 gigahertz. The 700 megahertz band has been considered, and in the United States, the 600 megahertz band has been considered for rollout. But right now, I think most of us are thinking about bands starting, say, at 3 gigahertz and above. So right now, the bands of major interest, as we've been hearing through today's and yesterday's conference, are 3.5 gigahertz, 3400 to 3800. In the United States, there's a bunch of bands being put together, which include, currently it's the CBRS band, which is 3550 to 3700. Right now there's a proceeding that is beginning on 3700 to 4200, and the FCC and the NTIA are collaborating on finding spectrum in 3450 to 3550. So I'd say that band is really being considered heavily for 5G. Above that, the 6 gigahertz band is being considered, I think, internationally, certainly in the United States, and that's 1.2 gigahertz of spectrum. And then millimeter wave. We're seeing, you see here, there's the 26 gigahertz band, which in the United States is 28 gigahertz. And then above that, there's some 30 gigahertz radio spectrum, there's 40 gigahertz spectrum, and actually I've seen proposals for spectrum above 96 gigahertz. So, but I'd say the sweet spot for spectrum right now worldwide is probably 3 gigahertz and millimeter wave. One of the major issues with this spectrum is no spectrum comes for free, which means that the spectrum is encumbered by incumbents. And it's encumbered just means that they're there. So we have to come up with a way to either share or relocate or both. And the notion of relocation tends to be contentious because people that are there that enjoy primary rights have established a framework of operation in a band that they're used to using. And we're seeing this happen in the United States in the 3.7 to 4.2 band, which is a band that's used primarily for earth station downlinks. And so the issue is, how do we make this equitable for the existing users when there's newer users coming in on the concept of sharing and or relocation. So many people believe, and this is mostly the new entrants, that the spectrum should be made available by relocating these people. Relocating means putting them in another spectrum. Others come from a perspective that that's workable, but that we need to consider new capabilities for sharing. I will be speaking this afternoon on the CBRS, which is sort of the spectrum access system approach to sharing, which allows for new entrants to come in using a spectrum sharing system to allow them to operate around incumbents. And so that's a brand new concept that needs to be fleshed out. But so I think the major issue that we have with making these bands available is, how do we deal with the incumbents? And we'll see how that happens. I'd say there's two major values that I see initially. One is the one called networking. You're here with your colleagues and your compatriots. You can meet with people, you can talk, you can bring issues to them, you can actually have sidebar conversations, much like what happens at ITU. And then there's the content of the presentations. And I would say it's maybe not in that order. Certainly I came to this because of the content of the presentations. But I think those are two major values, is having people that are experts in their positions and in their fields speaking on topics that are of really good interest to everybody, as well as the ability to network and talk to people.